Hello, my fellow hunters! Here we have the majestic dancer of the Scarlet Forest, dancing like a ballerina. And what I think is the last tutorial monster in Monster Hunter Wilds. You will see this furry little spooter dancing around as he slams you with his hands or feet, stings you, and floods the area with little florets that can build up the paralysis status. Get paralyzed and you'll be helpless as the Lala Barina moves to strike you unless your fellow hunters, or Palico, gives you a helping hand by way of a good smack. So let's put on our dancing shoes as we prepare to be their dancing partner with this quick guide to the Lala Barina, as well as a sprinkle of subspecies theory crafting. We start by going over its hands and other appendages. It will try to stab you on occasion, dealing relatively minor damage. Much like the licks of the Chatacabra or the pecks of a Chemetrix, they barely register on your hunter, so keep an eye on your HP bar to avoid surprise Uber back to camp, especially when hunting their tempered versions. And no, unfortunately you can't high-five it. Although Capcom might be inclined to make a gesture where they can give it a high five. Maybe? Anyways, those hands are also put to use when it does its body slam, so what is saying in the hitbox of this attack with its claws. Both hands can be broken, limiting their range and making your life a tad easier when the slam attack comes around. You know this attack is coming because the Lala Barina will raise his hands and sort of stall for a bit before it pounces. It would also do a fast launch attack in a similar way, sort of standing still for a bit before it tries to quickly fall on you. Both of these attacks can be avoided if you keep circling around it, with them being particularly dangerous when you are in the middle of a long attack animation. There is also the occasional poke with its legs, which can knock you on your butt if it hits you, leaving you vulnerable to a follow-up attack. The best way to avoid it is to stick to its face as much as possible, which might be a bit difficult as you might have to chase after every now and then as it dances around the area it's currently in. Now we get to the Stinger, the weapon in its arsenal that will use the most often and with the most speed. The Lala Barina can quickly reposition itself such that it can sting you with very little wind-up, dealing a fair bit of damage as well as knocking you back and causing significant paralysis buildup. You can see this buildup on top of your HP bar, which looks like two parallel lightning bolts, that leads to the triggering of the status when it's maxed out. When the spider gets enraged, it does its attack twice in quick succession, which can lead to a surprise trigger of the paralysis and getting hit with a follow-up attack if you lose track of your build-up levels. Alongside the Stinger are the florets, that it will spread around the area every once in a while. This will happen when it retreats for a bit before deploying its flower bud. Once it's opened up, it will start to spread around the dandelion-looking florets that cause paralysis build-up if you come into contact with them. Its flower bud will also be open when it's enraged, so that it also spreads them as it dances around the area. Thankfully, they can be easily destroyed with a bit of damage from any swing of your weapon, so they pose little danger to hunters as long as they remain on the offensive. And that about covers what the Lala Barina can do. But what about a possible future subspecies? What quickly came to mind is that it makes use of Blast Blight, with the dancing releasing a lot of explosive spores that it can ignite with the sparks created from its nails. And instead of doing a big spin dangling from the ceiling, it does a big spin on one of its legs just like a ballet dancer would, as it spreads its explosive spores everywhere. Another subspecies could be a frenzied Lala Barina that survived long enough to begin mutating into Gormagala. Because yeah, apparently the frenzy virus mutates the afflicted monster into Gormagala if it lasts long enough. Who knew? In any case, this subspecies will have bigger and stronger hands and claws. It will spread dense frenzy virus spores from its flower bud, and its dancing might be more dangerous as it extends its sharp claws and legs as it spins. Overall, I think this monster has a lot of subspecies potential, and I'm eager to see what Capcom comes up with. You can also share what you would like to see in appreciable future subspecies down in the comments below. Now, we return to the Lala Barina and the weapons and armor it has to offer. We start with the armor, that seems to have a high fashion look that has, well, a lot of armor. The version I'm using makes me think of a female knight straight out of an anime, while the other version is that of an old-timey noble knight from the region in Spain. While I didn't find them particularly interesting, I still think they have good looking designs regardless. The notable armor skill of this set is the new skill Foray. This increases your attack and affinity when the attack monster is under the effects of poison or paralysis. Can be a decent way to increase affinity with how prevalent paralysis is nowadays, and this early high rank armor set can let you test it out until you build into future sets, with more room for builds that might include this skill. The weapons are among my favorite new additions of Wilds, with their elegant designs and their final upgrades altering their appearance to bloom just like a Lala Barina's flower bud. The Charge Blade is the one everybody has probably seen by now, since it's the weapon shown in some of Wild's promotional material, with the other standouts being the dual blades and their stylish hooks, lance and their flower motif, and the insect clay which seems to be made out of a Lala Barina's leg. Amazing designs all around that more than make up for the fact that the weapon set doesn't include a hunting horn. And with that, this quick guide to the Lala Barina comes to a close. Overall, I like this little spooter, since its constant movement keeps me on my toes and made me think about when and where I go about doing with my hunting horn. The surprise paralysis can create a lot of oh crap moments that have you scrambling for healing or to quickly try and help your fellow hunters. This makes it one of the more hectic fights out of what I would consider the 3 tutorial monsters, even after I'm fully decked out with high tier weapons, armor, and decorations. Taking all of that into account, any future subspecies that builds upon this foundation will only ramp up the intensity of the hunt, which is something that me and my fellow hunters will most likely enjoy. And that'll be all from me. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit the notification bell to know when the next video drops. Thank you all for watching and happy hunting.